So
what verse is this now?
Now it is verse 6. So now what we understood is the fact, see the point that I just wanted to explain what Roberto was asking, because what he was asking is something which is quite interesting. He kept asking, I don't know if you remember, that what about when chimpanzee was there,
the mind.
what happened to the, yeah? So actually what he was saying was something very interesting. He's saying, if you are telling that the conscious awareness is our truth is awareness and we are human beings. So when human being is not there, because in this evolution, human being appeared how many years ago?
What years later?
Only 2-3 million years ago, and before that, what was there was no human form. Yeah. So what he's saying is, if my nature is awareness and the mind is something which is known to me. So, but before this mind came, then what awareness was also not there. So what we said is that how can you show that awareness is something, so what we are saying is, the awareness is not only truth of forms, it is also truth of Ishvara. And Ishvara was there or not before the human beings came? It was very much there. So, and Ishvara was there before the manifest cycle or not?
Yes.
It was there. So if awareness is the truth of Ishvara, then that awareness becomes limitless. If it was only truth of our form, then it will become very small. So therefore, what he is saying is very important to put it the other way. A lot of California spiritual circles, they keep talking about us being awareness, but they skip Ishvara in that whole analysis. When they do that, they don't realize, but awareness becomes very small, because human being has been around for a very short time and the universe has existed for many years before the emergence of human being. So then it would mean that the awareness started with what? The human being coming on this earth, which was much later. So that's why the importance of Ishvara is so important, because way before human beings came, there were what? Other species. Even before the first species arose, there were what? Stars, planets, there is
galaxies.
Galaxies, exactly.
Even the life forms, the first life form emerged on Earth 4 billion years ago. So even before the first life form was there, then Ishvara was very much there.
That is intelligent order.
Exactly.
But Neema, does that mean that the animals and the plant kingdom don't have awareness?
They do, no? That's
They do,
why
right?
they do, because
in the form
wherever there is any form,
Yeah,
there is
that's
Ishvara there, and awareness is truth of that Ishvara.
Right. Only thing is that we as humans can
Understand.
understand it, analyze it, talk about it, right?
And yes, exactly.
And discover it.
Exactly. That capacity is given to us. That's true. So therefore, what he said was very important. You can't understand this knowledge unless you bring in Ishvara. Because otherwise, awareness, even if you keep talking about awareness, it becomes a very small thing unless you bring in Ishvara. That's a very, very good point. So that's why this knowledge is, Swamiji kept reminding us, it's an equation. It's not about, it's an equation. It's not just about understanding I am awareness, it is an equation. The equation is between what? You and Ishvara. You and Ishvara seem to have what? Very different form. You are limited, Ishvara is what? All intelligence which makes everything come. You are limited in your power, Ishvara is what? All power. how can there be equation? Two sides look so different. Yeah? The equation comes only when two sides are apparently different. The equation doesn't come when I say 5 is equal to 5 is not an equation. What is an equation? Seemingly different resolving what? One thing. So that means 3 plus 2 is equal to 6 minus 1 is an equation. Why? Because when you solve the left side of the equation, what comes? 3 plus 2 comes what? 5. And when you solve the right side of the equation, 6 minus 1, what comes is also 5. But does it then mean that the 3 has to look like 6, plus has to look like minus, and 2 has to look like 1? If you solve the equation at a wrong point, what happens? You will conclude, oh, 3 plus 2 is equal to 6 minus 1, therefore 3 is equal to 6, plus is equal to minus, and 2 is equal to 1. What will you do? Distorted. So that means, if it is an equation, you have to find what? The right point of resolution. So therefore, in that mathematical equation, the right point of resolution is what? 5. At 5, there is an equation. So you have to solve both the sides and it has to then come to 5. You can't do it at a different place. Now, when there is an equation between Ishvara and Jiva, you also have to solve it at the right point.
What is Jiva?
Jiva is an individual and Ishvara is the cause of the universe. If you start believing that me as an individual is the cause of the universe, what will happen?
Distorted.
So distorted. And that is also so many California people do it. Oh, the universe will work according to your wishes, so you only change your intention. This is not true. Otherwise, we can just get the universe to do whatever we want by just having an intention. But it's not true. Nobody can say that.
Like all the monotheistic religions, when they say this,
Sorry?
all the three monotheistic religions, they affirm this,
For what?
that there is a certain point in a jiva that managed to explain and to know everything about Ishvara.
So no.
Whether it's Mahomet or Jesus or Muhammad.
Yeah. So what we are saying is that when we are solving this Vedanta equation, when it says it's not just Muhammad or Jesus. What it says is every form is Ishvara. That is a reality. So therefore, and that's what one has to understand. It is not one particular privileged person who is like that, and all of us have to follow it. What it says is any form that is there in the universe is Ishvara. And that's exactly what you did. You actually reduced all the forms to Ishvara by saying that everything is Vidya, 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 and ultimately it is only Satya, the intelligence. So therefore, what we are trying to do is the left side of the equation, which is what? Me, the individual, who is what? With limited knowledge and limited power. That's where I start, and where do I go to? When I begin to inquire into the truth of that individuality, where do I reach? You reach down to awareness. Reach down to awareness. I'm awareness. When you inquire into the truth, when you inquire about Ishvara, where do you start with? The all knowledge and all power, which is what? Making the whole universe manifest. And it is not only making the whole universe manifest, but also in form of the universe. Every form in the universe resolves its mithya, it resolves in Ishvara. Then what is the truth of that Ishvara? again awareness. So what is the point of resolution? Awareness. So in this particular thing, 3 plus 2 stands for individual, 6 minus 1, or you can say 1000 minus 995. One side looks what? Very huge, so big. The other side looks what? So small. But what is the point of resolution is not that. What is the point of resolution? Awareness. If you try to think, because the point of resolution is awareness, if you start believing I am Ishvara at the level of form, what will happen?
Distortion.
Distortion. This is how people say, oh, the mind is limitless. Mind is not limitless. Mind is limited.
It's equipment basically.
It is an equipment. Exactly. It is a limited equipment, but it is such a sophisticated equipment that that equipment of a human mind, you can figure this out, the reality. A limited mind can figure out what your true nature, which is limitless. Why? Because you are not producing limitlessness. Limitlessness, if you had to produce, it can never be produced through your effort. Because any finite effort cannot produce what? Infinity. This is true. This is logic. But if infinity is already there and you are missing it because of your wrong understanding, what we can do is what? Just lift away so you can see what already is. We are not producing anything. We are just making you see the reality.
I wanted to ask you, it's a very subtle thing about I am Ishvara, because Ishvara, we're in Ishvara, people start to say, I am Ishvara, I am Ishvara.
Yeah.
So it's that Satya difference which makes us different to Ishvara, right?
No, see, Ishvara is, if you define Ishvara as Sarvajnaha Sarvashaktiman, which is what all knowledge and all power, and it depends upon how you define yourself. I mean, if you are talking about the all knowledge and all power, then who you think? Right now you are who? Just one individual. In that case, are you Ishvara?
No, he pervades everything.
But he pervades everything, then you have to say, I am just one small part of Ishvara. But if you go to the content, do you become the part?
No.
No. All that is here is one unchanging awareness. From that standpoint, you can't say I am part of Ishvara. So it really depends upon what you are referring to and from what standpoint you are talking. If you are speaking from the standpoint of the form, which is your form against the entire universe, you are just a small part. But if you are talking about the content, which is awareness, then what? You are not talking about one part. It's a partless whole that we are talking about. So now, suppose you begin to understand that, what happens? It says, Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani eva anupashyati sarva bhuteshu cha atmanam tataha na vijigupsate. So here he says that the one who begins to see what Yastu sarvani bhutani atma eva anupashyati. Every Bhuta, all the beings are nothing but, if you put your Atma as awareness, is there any being which is away from awareness? No. Because every being is not away from Ishvara, and awareness is what? Truth of Ishvara also. So therefore, there is no being. And he gives an example from, see, we have something called, I'll just explain to you Brahmaji. What is Brahmaji? That intelligence which manifests in form of what? That manifestation. Every second there is a creation. So from there to here the example is given, and that is what? Blade of grass. Blade of grass, if you really think about it, how can you say there is awareness there? So please understand that the world that we see is divided into what sentient and insentient beings. What are the sentient beings? The sentient beings are people who have who are able to, they are living beings. So that means they have some breathing. No matter how primitive, there is some breathing, they are alive, they have senses, they have feelings. So this is what we call living beings. And living beings, if you just look at this earth, how many species are there?
Billions.
Some, I don't know how many species. So all these beings, but they are able to interact with the environment in some way or the other. The degree of engagement can differ, but all of them, and this is why it's very interesting. Yesterday they showed that what the eagle, is getting better at flying, and the rabbit is getting better at running. So because what rabbit also, and this is, I don't know if you, I'm sure you saw it in Africa, that there is a water body and these deers come to drink water. And when the deers come to drink water,
Deer.
So early in the morning when there is a water body, and when they come, they are not just drinking water, they are looking like
They're
this.
very aware, conscious.
Very aware.
Because the lions are tigers.
Lion, crocodile.
Yeah. So that means while they are drinking water, they are constantly looking like that. And the same place what lioness comes to what? Look for it.
Look for the...
Look. And the minute they come, what happens? They all start fleeing. They all start
They have
running.
sign, they have whistle.
They have.
Herd, they understand that
And
whistle.
the whole herd understands and they all start running.
They have a territory, they have got that first signal also. They have to send signal out to baboons also. They are on the tree. They identify first the lion.
Then what happens is, they all start running. One day one deer may get caught. Sometimes they all escape. This is how it is. So that means, who taught deer? Did somebody go to school tell him that they know there may be a danger and therefore they are what?
You have to be aware, keep your
They're
senses.
Yeah. And they're so tuned in to the environment and what is going to happen, and they act and they do everything. So therefore, every living being, depending upon, it may be the mind is programmed differently. So chimpanzee's mind is programmed differently, deer's mind is programmed differently, but they are all able to what? Make some understanding of the universe and to interact with it. So all of us have what? The living being means it has mind, subtle body. Part of subtle body is the mind. And this is why, if you look at some shows like Natural Geographic and all, they will show you the amount of intelligence. Once they had this show on these, what we call these ants, and how ants behave. So that was just fascinating. They have their own, there is a queen, and then there is everybody follows it, and it's like one whole big code of how ants behave. So that means that there is an intelligence. They all have differently programmed mind, but they all behave intelligently.
They don't want to get hurt at the same time. They don't hurt them.
Absolutely. They also exhibit that. And that is written in Taittiriya Upanishad. Adi Shankaracharya, he says that you go to a cow and you go with a raised, with a stick. What will the cow do?
Nothing.
Run away.
Yeah.
And if you go with a grass, what will the cow do? Come to you. Cow never went to school. Everybody knows it. There is a danger, you flee, then somebody is nice to you, you go towards that.
Even some child also knows their movement.
So, exactly. So therefore, this is, and we think wherever there is a mind, there is what? Awareness. whether it is a human mind or any other mind. Now, what we have to ask is, what about when things are like mountain? What about water? At this table, is it able to run away and say, no, I'm bored, I want to go for a swim? No. It is what we call inert, it is insentient, it is not able to interact with the universe. So then, is there awareness? How can there be awareness here?
That's the thing, that collapse.
Awareness is the tree.
Awareness is in tree because tree is living. But when we are talking about non-living beings, then how can there be awareness? There again you need Ishvara. So that means wherever there is an inert thing, so what that means water does not talk. So at the same time there is Ishvara there. Why is there Ishvara there? Because the atoms come from Ishvara. The organization of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom all of a sudden makes water. That is an arrangement of that intelligence. And having created water, not only it is useful for human bodies, but it is also needed for what? All the plants, it is needed for all the animals. That's why most of the activities in all these national parks is all around water bodies, because that's where everybody comes. So that means there is intelligence there. In the water, what makes water water is the intelligence. So therefore, the awareness is wherever there is what? All intelligence, which is Ishvara, the awareness is there. So what is the difference between the water and all the living beings? The water does not have what we call the subtle body. Subtle body. The subtle body is what? The mind. I had just explained that there is one thing which is the physical body, which is the physical form, and the other thing is what? The subtle body. So when you don't have when the form does not have the subtle body, the form is not able to what? Interact with the universe. But awareness is there in everything. Why? Because awareness is what? Because Ishvara is there everywhere. Ishvara is there in both sentient and insentient beings. And because awareness is the truth of Ishvara, awareness is everywhere. So this is what is said in this verse. That even if it seems as though the grass has no life and has no awareness, what is the reality? The awareness is everything. So the one example that is very often used in the Upanishads to show this fact is our own dream. Every night we go to sleep and we create a dream world. In that dream world we create what? Dream time, dream space, dream characters. So in the dream characters means what? You can be sleeping here but you can dream that you are in Dubai. And in your dream of Dubai, you will create what? Tall towers. And you will create what? People around you. And you will also create what? The shopping. You will create everything. So you will create dream clothes, you will create dream buildings, you will create dream characters.
The projection of the mind.
The whole thing. Some things are what? Some objects in your dream are sentient. What are the sentient characters? People. Yeah. Animals. And some characters, the building, the clothes, the shopping, all that is what? Inert. But both of them exist where? Are they away from your little? Here the example is relative So the example is what? Are they away from you, the conscious being? No. Every character in the dream is not what? Separate from you. But it seems as though they are what? All these different characters. Some of them are alive, some of them are inert. And the interactions are going on, and the interactions are producing what? Pleasure and pain. If you dream of going to a very fancy mall and probably having really nice clothes and having nice dinner there, you will be happy in what? Dream world. But if you dream that while coming out, a car hit you in the dream world, then what will happen?
Be upset.
That's why people wake up because of nightmares. So therefore, it will produce all the experiences. You will see all different objects. The whole play is what? What is one material from which the whole play comes? Only your mind. While your mind, which part of the dream is pervaded by your mind? The whole of dream is pervaded by your mind. Mind pervading every aspect of the dream. Is it affected by what you dream?
No.
No.
Really it's not, because the minute you wake up, the mountain goes, then the buildings go, the clothes go, everything goes. The happiness, everything. So that means what? That without the mind, the dream cannot be there. None of the characters in the dream are there. Mind pervading everything is free from everything. This is exactly, if you look at the bigger picture, it is the same. Whether things in this world are sentient or insentient. Whether things are able to interact or things are just inert. They all are supported by what? What we call Ishvara. And awareness is what? The content of Ishvara. So when so therefore there is always, when the manifest universe is there, you will see what? Three things. You will see form, you will see Ishvara, because of which the form is what it is and it is able to do what it is able to do, and you will see what? Awareness. You will see means the only thing which is self-evident to you is this awareness. Now, when everything is in the potential, what is there? The forms are missing. What is still there is what? The intelligence, the Ishvara and awareness. So what we call creation is what? The intelligence, Ishvara, manifesting as different forms.
Just one question I thought. Once Ishvara manifests, only then the forms come.
Yes.
Otherwise, Ishvara
This
is
all intelligence in a potential form.
potential.
Yeah. So just to give you an example of potential form, it is, what does it mean? Here we are using one manifest form to just show the example. In Chandogya Upanishad, what happens is the father takes the son and tells the son, you open the seed.
Open the
Seed of a fruit. The son opens the seed and the father says, what do you see? The son says, I see nothing. He says, even if you don't see anything, the entire potential of what the tree is what?
In the seed.
But that's what happens every night. You
Yeah.
go in a seed form. That's
Yeah.
why when you get up in the morning, you don't forget your name. The musician still remains the musician.
So therefore, even if you, that is what we call potential. So that means the intelligence is very much there, but it it has not yet manifested as what? A tree. But it can. So it has a potential. So that's why when you start watering it, then the mango seed will give rise only to mango tree.
This is the law of karma.
That is exactly. So that means that intelligence, even before the form becomes manifest, intelligence precedes it. Makes it possible. So therefore, even before the entire universe manifests, intelligence is there in the potential.
So what happened to every night when you go to sleep?
Yeah.
What happens to the awareness?
So awareness is always there. See, mind has gone to
Despite
sleep.
you're sleeping, the awareness is still on.
Yeah, it's still on. See, because your mind has gone to sleep, so the thinking faculty is resolved for a while. But awareness is always there. There is nothing which displaces awareness.
It's subsided into a seed form.
So, no, the mind resolves. The awareness, see, seed and non-seed is what? At the level of Ishvara, that manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. We saw that awareness is always constant, unchanging, attributeless. It's always there.
If you're awake, then how do you go to sleep?
No, so this is why
In
I am
deep
saying
sleep, what
that
happened to awareness?
awareness is always there. The mind goes to sleep.
Oh.
You don't interpret with the awareness.
Exactly, absolutely. You don't interpret the awareness because mind is.
It's like when people ask you if you speak several languages, in which language you dream, you never dream in a language. Because the dream is not translated.
No, also, you're right. And also you sleep very peacefully, the body is slept peacefully, deep sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's
your
a mind
is
only.
there. So that means the mind is resolved, and when you wake up, the mind has also immediately come into mind.
Charged. Back
Charged. Exactly. So therefore, here it says that now he will see everything in Atma. And what, as a result, what will happen is that tataha na vijigupsate. This is something very, very important. That if you intimately understand this reality, that all that is here is awareness, and that awareness has the so-called capacity to manifest in form of the universe without changing itself. That capacity is what we call Ishvara. And every individual that is here is manifestation of Ishvara. If you really begin to intimately understand this and interact in the universe with this understanding, the one thing which will happen is that there is no hatred. That hatred will go away. Hatred will go away does not mean that you have no emotions. Emotions are part of human mind, and the human mind obviously is able to distinguish between situations and respond accordingly. So when people don't understand Upanishads properly, they try to think that the person who understands will never have emotion. That emotion of hatred, emotion of sadness, emotion of... that's not possible. Not possible. The only thing that the person knows is the place where emotion takes place is what? In the mind. And what is your relationship with the mind? Your relationship with the mind is, well, mind is not independent of you, you are what? Independent of the mind. So it is like the relationship with the bottle and the cloth. It is that relationship. It seems as though I am angry. The reality is that the mind has different emotions, one of which is anger. And some situations trigger that emotion. That is the truth. Now, what you can do is understanding that some emotions are triggered by some confusion of ours. You can deal with those emotions, but retaining understanding very clearly what is your relationship with that emotion. We are not saying because you are not the emotion, you should just let your emotion be whatever they are. But we are also saying that the emotions are not only, you can't define yourself also by the emotion. So that means you have to get your relationship with emotions right. It is like, I say I'm not the house. It's true, you're not the house. But does it then mean that you will not look after the house? You will keep it clean. You will keep it beautiful. You will keep it healthy. True. Because that's a place, yeah?
It's my house.
It's your house. Same thing. The body is what you are connected to this body. You are connected to this mind. Even though it's not you, doesn't mean you are indifferent. But at the same time, you can't get confused. So that means understanding that I am much more than mind. I still am connected to one mind. So if because of some distortion, the mind has repeated, let's say, problem with anger, with fears, with sadness, then what do I need to do?
Rise above that.
Rise above that. In order to rise above that, what do I need to do? I first need to acknowledge that that emotion is there.
The problem here, what happens is that with everybody, when you go to a doctor and you ask for medicine, so he gives you medicine liquid and say you take morning, afternoon, evening. But the problem with us is we take the full bottle of emotions. That is the problem. And then you suffer. How to stop that?
So that's exactly. See, a lot of it, I think, what you are referring to.
Because this is a very big subject. All the people are suffering from this.